We live in an age of constant noise, endless scrolling, and overwhelming anxiety. You wake up exhausted, chase notifications, and end the day feeling like you accomplished nothing of true, lasting substance. We are hyperconnected, yet profoundly isolated, surrounded by choices but constantly paralyzed by indecision. The modern world tells you to buy more, do more, and be more. But what if the answer isn't addition, but instead radical subtraction? It is easy to look at the state of the modern world and feel a profound sense of helplessness. We are bombarded by external crises, economic shifts, and digital algorithms designed to hijack our attention. Yet, ancient wisdom traditions universally agree on one fundamental truth. The most consequential war you will ever fight is not out there in the physical world, but within the silent theater of your own mind. In the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, this concept is masterfully illustrated in a section known as the Bhagavad Gita. The story places a warrior named Arjuna on a chariot, situated perfectly between two massive opposing armies. Arjuna represents the image of all humanity. Each of us fights or will fight this exact same battle. On one side are the Pandavas, representing the positive, beneficial forces that compel a human being to grow and evolve. On the other side are the Kauravas, representing the human personality with its multiple flaws, vices, and comforts. When Arjuna looks across the battlefield, he is paralyzed by hesitation and a terrible moment of cowardice. He throws down his weapons and wishes to retreat. Why? Because he recognizes the faces of the enemy. He knows he will have to fight old, familiar shadows, vices that are anxious to continue governing his life. As we often explore in New Acropolis, the real battle is internal. To develop inner strength and internal values, we must fight against ourselves. It is terrifying to let go of the comforts of our own dysfunction. We fear the void that might be left if we kill our false illusions. But Arjuna's charioteer, Krishna, representing the higher self or supreme divinity, reminds him that a sublime gardener knows a mystic rose cannot bloom in a soul that still preserves the roots of poisonous plants. Krishna teaches him the secret to true freedom, the right execution of action without any attachment to the reward derived from it. As long as we work merely for external rewards, we remain prisoners of cause and effect. This battle of navigating the complexities of our own psychological dysfunction is beautifully mirrored in the Greek myth of the Labyrinth and the Minotaur. Life itself, with its endless trials and dead ends, is the labyrinth. Deep in its center resides the Minotaur, a beast symbolizing blind, formless matter, our base instincts operating without intelligence or direction. You are Theseus, the hero in the higher self, tasked with guiding your own consciousness. To slay the beast, you need the double-edged sword of willpower. But more importantly, you need the thread of Ariadne, the memory, perseverance, and experience required to navigate back out. The myths tell us that the monsters of anxiety, distraction, and aimlessness cannot be avoided. They must be confronted directly at the center of our own psychological maze. If the first step is recognizing the inner battle, the second is understanding the nature of our environment. Long before smartphones and virtual reality, the Greek philosopher Plato described our exact modern predicament in his famous Allegory of the Cave, found in Book 7 of the Republic. Imagine a subterranean cavern. Inside, people are chained to their seats, forced to stare straight ahead at a blank wall. Behind them burns a fire, and between the fire and the prisoners, various objects are paraded back and forth. The prisoners see only the shadows cast on the wall, and hear only the echoes of voices, mistakenly believing that these illusions are the ultimate reality. This is the condition of the uneducated human mind. We are chained to our glowing screens, mistaking the curated shadows of social media, status, and material wealth for a life of substance. Our chains are the algorithms and our own addictive tendencies, compelling us to accept a machine of deception that keeps us in error, while we falsely believe we have the freedom to choose. What happens if a prisoner breaks their chains and turns around? At first, the light of the fire would physically hurt their eyes, and the reality of the objects would leave them disconcerted. If dragged out of the cave entirely, into the blinding light of the actual sun, which represents the idea of the good, they would initially beg to be returned to the comfortable darkness. Growth is fundamentally uncomfortable. Breaking free from digital addiction and modern distraction requires a painful period of adjustment. But eventually, the freed human realizes that the sun is the true source of life. And this knowledge brings a profound happiness that destroys any desire to return to slavery. The true philosopher, however, out of love for their fellow humans, decides to return to the cave to help free the others, even if the masses mock them and prefer to kiss their shameful chains. The pain of the cave and the pain of breaking free is central to the teachings of Buddhism. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, recognized that the very nature of life involves change, impermanence, and pain. This is the first noble truth. We suffer deeply because we dedicate all our energy to a world in constant transformation, taking the illusion of possessing and conserving things as reality. This attachment to shadows provokes our suffering. To overcome these crises, we must develop our internal values. The Buddha taught that pain ceases only when we channel our thirst for life toward our higher self, toward that which is permanent and stable. We achieve this through the middle way, a path of balance, much like a stringed instrument that produces no sound if too loose and breaks if too tense. Knowing that we must break our chains is not enough. We require a practical method for building a resilient mind. How do we structure a life of meaning amidst chaos? We can look to the ancient Egyptians, whose entire civilization was anchored by a single, powerful archetype, the goddess Maat. Maat represents truth, order, rule, rectitude, and justice. The ultimate ideal of an Egyptian life was to live in accordance with Maat, making it the harmonizing element of their entire society. The purest physical representation of this order is the true pyramid. In a false pyramid, which mimics a false, unjust society, the blocks at the very top support almost no weight, while those at the bottom are entirely crushed. But in a true pyramid, there is a central core of rock. Every pillar rests on the ground, but a portion of the weight is consciously discharged onto the taller, central pillars. The pyramid is a model of responsibility and solidarity. Whoever is higher in development carries more weight and holds greater responsibility. To build your own mind, you must become a true pyramid. You must establish a strong internal core of order and willingly bear the weight of your own responsibilities without crushing those beneath you. This mirrors the teachings of Confucius in ancient China. Confucius taught the concept of Li, which is the materialization on earth of a superior celestial order. In an ethical sense, li is discernment. It is knowing and calling each thing by its true name. Confucius believed there was no real distinction between ethics and politics. A ruler cannot possibly harmonize and direct a society if they have not first harmonized, directed, and conquered themselves. We are all the politicians of our own internal states. If your mind is chaotic, your external life will be a reflection of that chaos. The ideal individual, the Jew, is serene, flexible, cultivates their conduct without ceasing, and embraces a profound sense of responsibility. But how exactly is this internal order cultivated on a daily basis? Aristotle provides the most pragmatic answer: through habit. Aristotle argued that the supreme good, the ultimate aim of all human action, is happiness. But this happiness is not found in fleeting sensory pleasures or material wealth. For a human being, true happiness is the activity of the soul, directed by virtue and reason. And here's the key. Intellectual virtue is born from teaching, but moral virtue is born from habit and custom. You cannot simply read about being a good person and expect to change. You become a builder by building houses. You become just by practicing justice. You become brave by practicing bravery. Moral qualities derive exclusively from the frequent repetition of acts. Therefore, Aristotle insists that we must navigate away from extremes, from excess and deficiency, and seek the equilibrium of the just mean. The difficulty lies in the fact that we are easily corrupted by pleasure. True philosophy, therefore, is a daily, practical repetition of choosing the higher action over the base impulse. When you consistently choose the higher action, you begin to construct what the Stoics of ancient Rome called the inner citadel. Rome contributed a magnificent idea to human history: the concept of the citizen of the world. A civilization united not by skin color or specific deities, but by a shared human nature and a universal law. During the Roman Empire, Stoicism evolved into a vital philosophy of life, an art of living centered on ethics and moral action. The Stoics taught that the universe is a living, unitary entity, driven by an eternal cycle of rhythmic evolution. In everything that happens, there is a strict interplay between necessity and finality. Pain and what we perceive as evil are simply a lack of knowledge, a harsh friction designed to push us toward a true understanding of reality. To survive the turbulence of life, the Stoic aims for ataraxia. This is often misunderstood as a suppression of emotion or an unproductive quietness. In reality, ataraxia is the profound peace that arises from virtue and inner harmony. It is the result of observing the intelligent rhythm of nature and manifesting that same coherent rhythm within oneself. A vice is simply a state of incoherence with nature. The philosopher Epictetus reminds us that we must never demand that things happen as we wish, but rather, we must wish for them to happen as they actually do. This is the only way to prosper. True freedom is not the ability to fulfill every random desire. True freedom is the power to align human will with divine necessity. It is the realization that he is free, who freely obeys what must necessarily happen. This aligns with the timeless approach of New Acropolis, philosophy as a living practice, a daily exercise in resilience and conscious action. To achieve this level of Stoic calm, we must master our own attention. The Tibetan traditions, preserved in texts like The Voice of the Silence, teach the practice of Dharana, a state of perfect concentration of the mind on spiritual essence. Without concentration, there is no wisdom, because a dispersed, superficial mind cannot grasp profound truths. Before the soul can truly hear its own inner voice, it must become as deaf to the terrifying roars of angry elephants as it is to the gentle buzzing of a golden firefly. We must govern our mind, distance ourselves from sensory overload, and seek the silence within. Only by breaking the terrifying heresy of separateness, the illusion that you are entirely disconnected from the rest of humanity, can you let the tears of others fall into your own heart and cultivate true compassion. From the battlefield of the Bhagavad Gita to the shadows of Plato's cave, from the careful habits of Aristotle to the unbreakable peace of the Stoics, the message is uniform. Philosophy is not an academic exercise. It is an emergency toolkit for the human soul. It is the thread of Ariadne leading us out of the dark. Philosophy is not meant to be left in old books. It is a tool meant to be lived, practiced, and shared. If you want to move beyond watching videos and start building your own inner citadel, you do not have to do it alone. This practical, timeless approach to life is exactly what we teach and practice at New Acropolis. We are a school of practical philosophy with dozens of physical locations across the United States, offering a community for those who want to live these principles in the real world. Check the links in the description below to find a branch near you and begin your own journey. If you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. See you soon.